The waters of Coffin Bay were explored by two companions. Up until they came across a great white shark in the deep, everything was going smoothly. Life and death were on the line in this exhilarating and horrifying underwater encounter. A little village called Coffin Bay can be found in South Australia on the Eyre Peninsula. It is a well-liked vacation spot for travelers seeking to take in the great outdoors because of its clean beaches, fishing, and wildlife. This community is renowned for its crystal-clear waters and a diversity of shark species among the plentiful marine life. Although the number of sharks in the seas of Coffin Bay can occasionally give the impression that the area is overrun with sharks, there is very little chance that you will come into contact with one when swimming or fishing there. In South Australian seas since 1985, 11 individuals have reportedly died at the hands of sharks. Shark sightings are constantly checked for by the local authorities at Coffin Bay, who also keep the public informed of any foreseeable dangers. Visitors visiting the region are urged to heed local authorities' recommendations and take simple safety precautions, such as avoiding swimming in areas where prey species are prevalent and avoiding swimming at dawn and twilight when some shark species are more active. Young Luke Parrish had a deep love for the sea. He had advanced open water diving certification and was a certified diver. More thrilling than the last, he had completed more than 100 dives. He cherished the sensation of weightlessness, the excitement of venturing into uncharted territory, and the sense of awe he experienced each time he encountered a new type of fish or coral. For months, Jake Walker and Luke Parrish had been discussing going diving at Coffin Bay. They were eager to explore the area's crystal-clear waters because they both had a passion for the undersea world. The weather was ideal the day of the dive. The water was calm, the sky was clear, and the sun was beaming. Since Luke and Jake were both seasoned divers, they felt secure as they got dressed and ready for the dive. Coffin Bay had always captivated Luke, and he put it on his list of places he had to dive. He was excited to plunge into the depths and get images of the region's famed rich marine life and magnificent coral reefs. The two pals were filled with anticipation and excitement as they made their way into the ocean. A fascinating underwater world with schools of vibrant fish swimming in the distance appeared as they dove deeper into the ocean from the clean azure water. With a vision of about 80 feet, 24 meters, they could clearly see their surroundings. Luke and Jake moved to a depth of 60 feet by gliding smoothly through the water, 18 meters. They had oxygen tanks with a 3,000 psi pressure, so they could spend a lot of time investigating the undersea world. During a brief period of investigation and photo-taking, Luke told Jake it was time to leave. Next, with Jake leading Luke, they started their ascent back to the surface, taking it slowly and deliberately to prevent any difficulties from nitrogen narcosis. They had been in the water for around 55 minutes at this point. A great white shark materialized out of thin air. The shark was swimming vertically in their direction from a distance of roughly 200 feet, 60 meters. When the two divers panicked, Jake began to rise more quickly. But when Jake turned around, he noticed his pal trailing far behind and struggling. Luke was attempting to free himself after becoming entangled in a rope. While Luke was urging Jake to leave him and leave so that he could save himself, Jake quickly decided to go back and assist him. Jake had to make the painful and devastating decision to leave his friend behind, since they were out of diving gas and time. As the shark drew nearer by the second, he turned around to see Luke attempting to free himself. With only 1,500 psi of air left, according to Jake's air gauge, he realized he couldn't afford to waste any more time. He unwillingly made the decision to leave Luke behind after giving it some thought inside himself, and he hastily continued his rise. Guilt and fear weighed heavily on his heart. Jake's air gauge indicated that he had just 1,000 psi of air left at this point, and he was aware that he needed to surface as soon as possible. As Jake heard Luke scream, he had barely broken the surface. Luke attempted to swim back to the surface away from the large shark after apparently managing to free himself from the rope that had ensnared him. When Jake heard a loud thrashing sound, he was about to breathe a sigh of relief. He was overjoyed to see his friend. When he turned to face Luke, he noticed the enormous great white shark swimming directly in front of him with its mouth open. As the shark drew near to his pal, Jake looked in dread as its razor-sharp teeth shone in the sunlight. Luke made a valiant effort to swim away, but it was too late. Ahead of him, the shark was. Jake was horrified to witness the shark strike and instantly ripped Luke apart with its enormous jaws. When Jake witnessed his friend's body being torn to pieces, he shouted in terror, and the water surrounding him turned red from blood. With heart thumping in his chest, he swam back to the dive boat as quickly as he could. He finally made it to the safety of the boat, where he fell to the ground sobbing for the death of his friend. He described the predicament and the location of the dive site to the boat. The rescue crew was put together 35 minutes after the local authorities made some calls to recruit other skilled rescue divers to assist. They set out for the diving location well prepared, but they were met with a horrifying sight. They discovered Luke's bloody, hurt body floating in the ocean. His once bright diving suit had become torn and frayed, and both legs were gone. Jake was heartbroken and kept thinking about his pal constantly. The gruesome images immediately flooded his mind. He kept seeing horrifying flashes of what had happened. He heard Luke's cries for help, saw his look of terror and anguish, and felt unable to intervene to save Luke. He was unable to dislodge the images from his head, since they were ingrained there. Although the rescue team made every effort to save Luke, it was obvious that he had sustained mortal wounds. Another person had been killed by the shark attack, and Jake was left to mourn his friend's passing. He was very troubled by the incident and felt guilty for what had occurred. The ocean can be a stunning and enigmatic location, yet it can also be risky and erratic. Jake was forced to deal with the loss of his friend, and the truth of what had happened after this dive turned into a nightmare. Luke's tragic demise shocked everyone in the diving community and beyond. He was remembered as a passionate and courageous diver who always went after his heart and enjoyed life to the fullest. Despite the shortness of his life, his legacy continues to motivate people to achieve their aspirations and never give up discovering the world's treasures. After the frightening incident, Jake was reduced to a shell of his former self and was constantly having flashbacks and nightmares. He was paranoid, often startled, and had trouble falling asleep. He was unable to go back to the sea and would not even approach the shore. He was trapped by the trauma and had no idea how to get out. Although his family and friends made efforts to assist, nothing seemed to have any effect. The notion that he could have done something, anything, to save Luke haunted Jake, and he was overcome with anguish and regret. Because of the shame he felt for having survived while his friend had not, he was unable to move past the situation. For the rest of his life, he carried the memory of that horrific encounter with him as a constant reminder of the ocean's danger and unpredictable nature. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed the video, please click the bell icon, like, and subscribe buttons to be notified when we post another thrilling diving story.